Hi guys, in this video I will be demonstrating Azure Privilege Identity Management. So for instance, we've got an organization which has got about 100 employees. Now out of that there is an IT department, and IT department have got people working in IT. Some of them are global administrators. That means they've got all access to all the features in Office 365, Microsoft 365, and providing the license of P1 or P2, they've got access of the features to Azure as well. Okay, then you may have password administrators, or we now call them help desk administrators as well. That means they can really log in to their account online in the portal of Office or Azure, and they can change the password of any standard users. Okay, and say you've got another administrators like billing administrator, Teams administrator, Skype administrator, so they can do all those relevant administrative tasks. Okay, now this makes things complicated, doesn't it? So for that we've got something called Azure Privilege Identity Management. And really, if you want to minimize the number of people who have access to secure information or resources, then you can use this. In other words, if you want to have less amount of administrators, then you can use this. So let me show you a good demonstration how this all works. Okay, so let me show you my Active Directory. In my Azure Active Directories, before that, please make sure that you notice here I am logged in as Holly Spencer. Okay, so in my Active Directory, let me show you how many users we have got. So we have got 3 users here. So Holly Spencer, let me click on it, and let me click on directory role. So you would see that Holly has got the rights of global administrator, or privilege of global administrator. Holly has got access to all the features here. Great. Let's go back in the users and let's see what's happening with other 2 users. Let's click on Victoria and directory role again, and Victoria doesn't have any administrative role. That means Victoria is a standard user, really. And same goes with Brad. So again, directory role, and Brad hasn't got any administrative role here. Make sure you remember this. Brad hasn't got any administrative role. Brad is just a standard user. Okay, right. So now you understand this and say, you know what? I have configured privilege identity roles already in my Azure here. So this is a demonstration of how it works. Okay, so I'm gonna be logging in Brad's account, and I'm gonna be asking, rather requesting to be a privilege identity, to have a privilege identity of a password administrator. So I can be, or rather Brad can be, password administrator for a while. Okay, so let's log into Brad's account. Okay, so this is my another Chrome window open in incognito mode, and let me click on here. So just to verify I'm logged in as a Brad here. Now I will be searching for Azure privilege identity here. Okay, now I can click on my roles in here, and I can see that as per Azure privilege identity I have been assigned password administrator role. But you know what, because it's a privilege identity role, that role is not a permanent role in Brad's profile. So if Brad wants to be a password administrator, really, he needs to click on activate all the time. So let's click on activate. And once you click on activate, again you click on activate, and notice that the maximum duration for that role can be 1 hour only. Okay, so when Brad is trying to activate that role, that will be activated for a maximum of 1 hour. This is all configured in the settings of Azure privilege identity, okay, by global administrator. Great. But you know what, let's say that you remember those 3 users, Brad, Holly, and Victoria. So Brad would like to request a password administrative role for tomorrow, because Victoria is coming back from holiday to work, and it's very likely that Victoria would have forgotten the password for tomorrow, and there is no guarantee that any other administrator is going to be present in the organization. So Brad is playing safe. Brad does some light IT duties in the organization, and he would want to be ready. So if Victoria come and request to change the password, at least Brad can do it. Okay, so in that case, let's tick on here and let's put the date for tomorrow. So today is 27, tomorrow is 28th. So 28th, and you know what, say office opens at 10 o'clock. So if Victoria comes at 10 o'clock, so let's say 10, oh, rather this one, 10 and 00 and 00. So from 10 till 11, Brad would like to have access as a password administrator role. Okay, now this is privileged identity. He would be privileged to be a password for the first hour from 10 to 11. Okay, and also when Brad wants to activate this role, Brad would fill a message like, you know what, Victoria is coming back from holidays tomorrow and forgotten the password. Okay, so I have put a message down there which is self-explanatory. I'm not going to explain it for that. Now this is all looking great. Okay, and in that case I would just simply click on activate. Once I click on activate, now what is happening, that is saying activation request is pending. Okay, so let's close this off and let's look into here. So now let's refresh it. Okay, so once you refresh it, you see it says one pending request. So what is happening now, that this request will go to the global administrator, which is Holly, and Holly will review the request, and Holly can either, you know, allow it or deny the request. Okay, so in that case, let's go and log into Holly's account. So I'm simply going to minimize this one, and I am back in Holly's account. Before I show you something here, let me show you something in the emails as well. Okay, you see there's just an email arrive here. It says privilege identity management PIM, review a directory role activation request. Let's click on it. Once I click on it, it tells you that, you know what, Brad wants to be password administrator. And why? Because Victoria is coming back from holiday tomorrow, and you know, the same message I put it. So either at this time, Holly can either click on here like approve or deny the request, or Holly can simply go on Azure Active Directory, not Active Directory, Azure portal, and type Azure Privilege Identity Management PIM. And once you go there, you can see my request. So once you see my, not my request, it was approved request, sorry. Yeah, once you go there, you click on approve request, and once you go there, you can see this message here from Brad. It's the same, this would be the same page if Holly would click here, approve or deny request. This will bring Holly on the same page as here. Okay, so now you can see all the information like what's happening. Okay, now it's your decision. So Holly is a global administrator, and it's Holly's decision either to approve it or deny it. So let's approve it. Once you've approving it, for data security audit, you need to put a reason there. So I would say, if I were Holly, I would say that I am having my day off tomorrow, so it's best to give this, rather it's best to approve Brad's request for tomorrow. That's it. Great. Okay, so this is I have put in the reason for it, and when you type your reason, you can simply click on approve. Always put some reason in here, it's very important. Okay, now why is it important? I'll show you in a minute. Now it has been approved, and we can simply go back in our privilege identity management here if I click on it. So now let's say if I want to audit what's been happening in privilege identity, right? Remember, again, I want to remind you, this is Holly's account, global administrator. Okay, I click on my audit history and it says here. Okay, so that reason appears here. Okay, and you see this tells you that activation approved, uh, activation for Brad, and you have approved this password administrator role. So this is approved here, which is good. Yeah, let's go back in Brad's account and see what's happening in his account. So it must be here. This is Brad's account again. Let's click on Azure so everything get refreshed, and let's type privilege identity management PIM, and now I can click on my request and I can see that this is the one, password administrator schedule. Victoria is coming back from holidays tomorrow, blah blah blah. And when I say my request and when I see that schedule, that means this has been approved. Okay, this has been scheduled, rather been approved by a global administrator. Okay, so in that case, now I can simply click on back here, and I can also see my own audit history. It will show me the same thing really what it was showing in Holly's side. Yeah, so this how privilege identity is working. The whole idea is that for privilege identity is, what, you don't have to have permanent administrators in your company. You can give rights, or rather you can activate, or rather you can make them eligible for few roles, and once they need it, they can make a request forward to you and you can approve it for that amount of time, that amount of hours. So they can be activated as an administrator, and then they can go back to being a standard user if needed be. Okay, so this is privilege identity management, another superpower of Azure.